Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headache stack. Restlessness to hell and back.
This is currently the largest MPV available anywhere in the world, and it could very well influence the next wave of automotive design. It drives without making you feel disturbed by its movements, while its overall product quality and the recognition it receives are both genuinely impressive. And in many ways, that's a small reflection of what the Maextro brand represents today. Not long after that, the brand introduced its second product. So how does this second model actually perform? A quick shout out to our automotive partner in China for sharing this video and helping make it possible. Thank you for your support. Hey everyone, it's Michael from motortorque. If you enjoy staying up to date with the latest automotive news, reviews, and industry updates, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of our exciting content. Thanks for watching, and let's get started. First of all, its overall presence is incredibly luxurious and dignified. Whether you're arriving at a formal event or simply using it every day, this is a car that can confidently handle almost any setting. The family design language is also immediately recognizable. It looks like it comes from the same family as the S800, featuring elements such as the nebula headlights and crystal-cut daytime running lights. There is a lot going on visually, and the overall effect is extremely eye-catching. Move around to the side and you'll notice something even more striking. This is currently the largest MPV you can buy anywhere in the world. But despite its enormous size, it doesn't feel awkward or cumbersome to drive. I'll get into that a little later. Before that, let's talk about the exterior color. The vehicle we're testing today is finished in a shade called Ling Yun Mu Bai. It's an elegant, almost poetic color, and personally, I really like it. When we're talking about luxury, or more accurately, true top-tier luxury, it doesn't necessarily have to mean covering everything in gold or relying on obvious displays of wealth. In fact, many high-end hotels today are moving toward exactly this kind of restrained and understated luxury. The square-shaped rear end is also very attractive. There's a wide chrome strip stretching across the middle, paired with full-color intelligent taillights on both sides. I have a feeling these full-color intelligent taillights could become a future design trend. They look fantastic, but they're also more capable from a functional standpoint. Because of the work I do, I'm particularly sensitive to paint quality, and I can immediately tell that the finish on this car is noticeably better than what you get on many ordinary vehicles. Put simply, the paint is thicker. A thicker paint layer can offer better corrosion resistance, a richer-looking color, and improved resistance to scratches. I also looked into the specifications, and the paint thickness on this car is said to reach 230 millimeters. Normally, achieving something like this on a car in the same class could cost around 100,000 yuan, so it's understandable that this vehicle has a stronger level of performance in that area. From a visual standpoint, you'll also see plenty of domestic cars using two-tone bodywork. Some achieve the effect through wraps or additional paintwork, and then add a clear protective layer on top. That can sometimes create a noticeable difference in height. But here, you don't get that height difference at all. And if you choose the top-spec cloud blue version, the quality of its two-sided trim is even more impressive than what you see on this test vehicle. Another interesting detail is the illuminated emblem. It reminds me of the construction of a mechanical watch. It uses a three-layer design, a sculpted inner layer, a luminous outer layer, and finally a three-dimensional emblem sitting on top. That layered construction makes the emblem look significantly more striking, and it's the only emblem in its class to feature this slow reflection effect. If you go for the top-of-the-line cloud blue version, you'll also get an even more premium overall impression, making the effect stand out further. Now let's actually get behind the wheel and see how this car performs at high speeds. The first thing that immediately stands out is the incredibly clear visibility. Whether you're looking forward through the windshield or checking the areas around the A-pillars on either side, the view is remarkably open. You don't feel like the vehicle is blocking your vision, and that naturally makes driving it much more enjoyable. The second thing I noticed is the sound insulation. I even deliberately switched the vehicle into fuel priority mode because I wanted to consciously compare the noise and vibration when the range extender starts working versus when it shuts off. There is a difference. You can tell when it engages and disengages, but as I mentioned earlier, it's not distracting or annoying at all. Now let's talk about the seats themselves. The shape, cushioning, softness, and support are all very high quality. I also want to spend a little time on the seat massage function. At this price level, seat massage has almost become a standard feature, especially in cars like this. But having a massage function and having a good massage experience are two very different things. Some vehicles offer massage that's extremely weak, or what I would call more of a descriptive massage. You can technically say the car has massage, but you don't really feel much. Other cars use mechanical massage systems, and those can be extremely powerful. If you need to hold a seat for 5 minutes, I'll try out the massage function. But personally, I don't always think an extremely strong seat massage is ideal in a car. It can push and lift your body quite aggressively, and that could potentially introduce some safety concerns. That's why I think the centralized air conditioning system in this car, the massage force, is focused much more precisely. The result is a massage that feels comfortable and effective without becoming excessive. Since MPVs are often used for long-distance highway travel, things like clear visibility, comfortable seats, ventilation, heating, and massage aren't simply luxury extras, they're genuinely important. Put all of that together with the passenger seat, and you end up with a very complete tool for highway commuting. Now let me share my honest impressions of the rear seat comfort. First, let's set aside all the technical terminology for a moment. Things like the Touring dragon-shaped chassis or the 800-volt fully active suspension.
What really stands out to me is how none of the car's movements seem to bother you. You can barely feel the rapid acceleration, sudden braking, road bumps, or even a horn. You're aware that they're happening, but they never become intrusive or uncomfortable. And this is actually the first time I've come across active side bolsters in the rear seats of a car. When the vehicle goes around a corner, the bolsters adjust to provide support from the sides, helping you maintain a more upright and stable sitting position. Now, let's get back to the seat I was sitting in. My immediate impression was just how wide it is. As you probably know, I'm quite tall, so I naturally need plenty of room. But once I sat down, I noticed there was still a lot of freedom to move around on either side of me. There was also one particular material used on the seat that really stayed with me. The balance between softness and support was almost perfect. It reminded me of the small headrest you find in a Maybach. From the leg rest to the seat cushion and then up through the backrest, the entire seat maintains that same combination of softness and support. There's almost a slightly floating sensation to it. This car is also a great example of how genuine luxury often comes down to the smallest details. Take the New Zealand wool carpeting, for example, the electric shoebox, and the incredibly clever Vyman system. The electric Vyman is actually even more luxurious than the system you might find in an airplane cabin. We're not going to spend too much time on things like the LZ shell or the dimming glass. Instead, I want to point out something much simpler, the Type-C cable. There's nothing particularly unusual about the cable itself, but look closely at the silicone handle at the front. The craftsmanship is extremely refined. The clever part is that even when the cable retracts, this rubberized handle remains outside. So whenever you need the cable, you can easily grab it without having to search for it. It's a very small detail, but incredibly convenient. Earlier, a T-Master showed us how to operate the thermos, so let me explain a few of the smaller design ideas and how they're actually used. Let's start with replacing the water. It's incredibly straightforward. Take a normal 500 milliliter bottle of mineral water and remove the cap. You'll find a universal connector underneath. Then you simply attach the dedicated connector that comes with the car to the mineral water bottle. Once that's done, there's a hole on the right side where you insert it. That's basically it. The concept is similar to the water dispensers many of us used to have at home. You open the top of the dispenser, place the bottle in position, and snap everything into place. Operating the system is just as easy. There are two main modes: hot water and beverage extraction. If you have the small syrup or ingredients needed for coffee, an Americano, or tea, you can simply select the corresponding option, press the button, and the system automatically prepares the drink you want. And remember, this is an MPV that's nearly 5.5 meters long. It's almost like having a huge moving living room, and the amount of space it offers in both the second and third rows is genuinely luxurious. The third row follows the same philosophy. You don't have to make a major compromise just because you're sitting farther back. Both the second and third rows offer generous space and a comfortable environment. Now let's move on to some of the configuration highlights and design details. See the small screen I'm holding? Its design and proportions are extremely refined, almost in a 1-to-1 ratio, and it gives off the same high-end impression as some of Huawei's newest phones. When you're not using it, you can simply place it back into its integrated position here. Once it's stored, you can close everything up and the whole area looks clean and unified. But open it again and you get access to a whole range of functions. You can control music, fragrance, the front display, various small modes, the starry-sky ceiling, nutrition mode, and even functions related to receiving guests and switching between different spaces. All of those controls are right here. And then I discovered something I've honestly never seen in another car before: shoeboxes on both the left and right sides. Look at this. Because this is an MPV, whether you're talking about a high-end model, a mid-range model, or an entry-level one, these vehicles are often used for long highway journeys. And when you're riding in the back of an MPV like this, there's a good chance you'll eventually take your shoes off. Once you do, instead of leaving them lying around, you have this dedicated storage area. Excuse me, I just bumped it. You can simply place your shoes inside, fold the compartment away, and everything stays neat and organized. It's similar to the small control screen we just talked about. The design doesn't just look sophisticated, it also serves a very practical purpose. And there's another function built into the shoebox. Once your shoes are inside, the system can disinfect and deodorize them as well. How convenient is that? And for reference, my feet are pretty large. I'm officially a size 45, although I usually wear a very large size 46. Even so, the shoes still fit inside. There are honestly so many interesting features in this interior that I could keep talking about them all day, but let's just pick out a few of the most important ones. First, there's the starry-sky function. In the past, you often had to make a choice between having a panoramic sunroof and having a starry sky effect. Here, you don't have to choose. And as I mentioned earlier, you also used to have to choose between giving the second row plenty of space or making the third row comfortable. That compromise isn't really necessary here. As for the actual space, you can judge it for yourself. I'm around 1.9 meters tall, so realistically, I don't exactly have the right to complain about the third row, just like I don't have much say when it comes to choosing my shoe size. Generally speaking, the third row of an MPV is most comfortable for passengers under about 1.75 meters tall. I haven't spent a particularly long time sitting back there, but even from a quick look, you can clearly see the amount of space available. Up front, there's still around 3 to 4 fingers of legroom, while the headroom gives you roughly another 2 to 3 fingers. Zunjie V800 has made a lot of optimizations and upgrades specifically for this type of high-value user, and they've also put considerable effort in meeting privacy-related requirements. This tent chain is already available, right? Even so, I think it's worth showing you because the design itself is quite interesting. It operates from the top downwards, which gives it a more distinctive and sophisticated feeling than one that works from the bottom upwards. And another important advantage is that it's completely silent. There's also a privacy benefit here that you might not immediately think about. With many vehicles equipped with rear seat entertainment screens, there's a common issue when driving at night. The screen can be clearly visible to drivers in nearby vehicles and even to vehicles behind you. This car addresses that problem with a similar treatment on the rear windows that blocks the view from outside. That improves safety and privacy, especially when combined with the Lumen rear-view mirror. Even if you're not particularly concerned about other people seeing what you're watching on the screen, having this kind of physical privacy protection simply gives you greater peace of mind. This is where I think the brand's understanding of luxury really stands out. Its ability to create an atmosphere is arguably better than what you see from 99% of automotive brands. Take the steering wheel, for example. The needle-like detailing runs around the entire circumference, and it's an extremely difficult manufacturing process to execute properly. Different materials are used exactly where they make sense. Ceramic here, chrome there, leather in another area, and steel somewhere else. And then where you would expect to see a crystal wall lamp, there is genuinely one here. This little lamp right here is genuinely beautiful. It doesn't even need to produce light to justify its existence. It almost works as a piece of artwork by itself. Overall, I think the design philosophy of the V800 is very consistent with the S800. There are a few more details worth pointing out. For example, the needle-like trim on the dashboard, along with the outer edge of the steering wheel, uses the same needle-inspired treatment. The manufacturing process is extremely complex and difficult to achieve properly. But visually and physically, the result is excellent. It feels clean, refined, and elegant. The steering wheel itself is beautiful, and throughout the cabin you'll find similar classic design elements that combine artistic appeal with practical function. There's actually another experience that I think explains this really well. I've experienced it with painting. Sometimes after you finish a painting, you look at it and aren't completely convinced. You might even think, this doesn't look that special. But then you put the painting into a frame. Suddenly, the artistic quality becomes much more obvious. It instantly feels like a finished work of art, and the visual impact is dramatically improved. I think this car works in much the same way. Look closely at all these little structures. They have very carefully finished borders. Even the triple screen display has an extremely delicate decorative frame around its edges. Then you start noticing all the other structural elements, the windows, the air conditioning controls, and all these smaller components. Everything gives you the impression that each individual part of the car has been deliberately designed and carefully finished.
The starting price of the Maextro V800 in China is 766,000 yuan, which is roughly equivalent to 113,000 US dollars. And that's where we'll wrap up today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!